Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
And for any new brokeheads out there, the way we format the show is first we cover news, which we have a ton of this week, and we also have a huge stack of comics that we are going to review. The news always kicks off with a range covering comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. We'll have a pick and a pass of the week. First, how was your week, Kelly?
My week was pretty good, busy wrapping up some things at work, but I have a pretty funny story that happened. Actually, it was earlier today that I found out about this and just made me laugh so much. So I have a friend who's dating a new guy who is also a friend, and this guy is very into same things we are, comics, movies, TV, video games, and she is not. She has never been immersed in that world.
Yes. Very common.
Yes, so it always leads to some hilarity, but it kind of hit its peak. We're going to go over a lot of Nintendo Direct news, actually, and of course her boyfriend was following all this when it happened, and went out, and all these things were announced, and he just went and pre-ordered them.
Nice.
Just went, took care of it all. And so then she came to him later that day, and she goes, well, you know, the holidays and your birthday fall in the same month. I need to get you something big. You know, what do you want? And he goes, well, I already pre-ordered all the things that I want. And she was so mad. And I'm like, why is she mad? Does she not understand that you have to pre-order this? And he's like, I know. I told her, I'm like, go online and look up that thing. Look it up right now. So yeah, see, it's all gone. It's all gone already. I had to do this.
Out of curiosity, what was it that was completely gone that he actually got to pre-order?
It was Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess.
That makes sense. It had to be Zelda,
yes,
of course.
Yes, completely gone. But he said he got amiibos, and his brother got this other thing, and they pretty much bought out all of Nintendo Direct. Everything they announced has been pre-ordered and purchased, so she can buy him nothing for his birthday.
She can pay off his pre-orders.
But see, that's what I told him, but she wants to surprise him or some nonsense. I was like, if she waited to surprise you, you would get none of that shit, because it would be gone.
And I see that often, too, at the comic shop where one side of the couple is not into the comics or any of that stuff. So you see the other person, like, rushing through the store, like, okay, let me just look at this one more thing. I gotta look at the wall first. Yeah, I'm just gonna get one more. And then, like, they're rushing, and I always feel bad. And the other person's on their phone, like, so impatient and upset. I always feel bad. And I got lucky with you.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I got lucky with you.
That's true.
It's fortunate that we both like these things, but I feel like even if you don't, you could try to understand or be considerate of the other person. You go shopping with me sometimes. Let me walk around the makeup store, and I don't think you wear makeup.
I don't. I really don't.
Unless the days you're off and I work, there's something I don't know. Are you really going to the bar at night?
One of the things we both like is James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And last week we did promise that we'd have a SPECTRE review for you.
Yes.
That gave Brokettes a full week and a half to check out the movie if they wanted to. And I feel, do you want to do a spoiler-free review, a general one, or do you want to go straight into spoilers?
Let's go ahead and do a spoiler-free because it is a newer movie. If Brokettes have actual questions, please hit us up on Twitter or on Facebook, and we'll be happy to answer those questions and have a dialogue with you about it. But I'm sure there are some Brokettes who haven't had the chance to make it out to this movie, and it's great, so I don't want to spoil it for them.
Cool, so I guess I'll start off with my thoughts on SPECTRE. I really enjoyed Casino Royale. That is my favorite one of all the Bond movies. And Skyfall, which came out previous to this, was very good. It wasn't up there with Casino, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I bought it the week of release. This had the ingredients to be as big as Skyfall, if not better, because it had the returning director, which was Sam Mendes. Mm-hmm. You had Daniel Craig, who hadn't done a movie since Skyfall, and he didn't need to, because he made so much money from that he could just lay back and chill until the next Bond movie came out. It had a kick-ass song to go with it. How do I live? How do I die? When you're not here, I'm suffocating. I mean, if you haven't heard it, it's awesome. Absolutely great. And it's not like your traditional Bond song either. And it's so memorable. And you hear it throughout the movie itself. Just the melody echoes back to that opening. This Bond is different than what we saw in Casino Royale. That's one of the problems I think I've had with it. In Casino, we established a Bond that was rougher around the edges. He wasn't classic. He didn't order your typical drink that he wanted. I mean, he even says himself, "Do I look like I give a damn?" at one point. And that was all in Casino. Here, it's all your typical tropes in the Bond series. It's more of a love letter to all of the Bond movies that have released in the past. It's got a bit of a goofier villain. It's got your different gadgets that you had seen in like the Pierce Brosnan or in any of the previous Bond movies at all.
Can you name another Bond?
Sean Connery.
Oh, that's the only one I can name. Damn it.
There's also the Bond that was speculated to be gay by these producers.
I don't know his name, though.
Roger Moore. Mm-hmm. When they actually cast him, they supposedly sent up an escort lady to see if he would actually sleep with her, because Bond had to be played by a straight guy. He can be played by a gay guy.
I guess.
Even though in Skyfall, when the villain is rubbing his legs and he's like, "Oh, you're trying to remember your training and this has never happened to you." And that's when Bond says, "Who says this is my first time?"
If they ever do a gay Bond, I want him to be like super flamboyantly gay. Like, "Hello!
I'm here to kill you." And then that's when the opening, the little circle goes around and the blood.
Like the lady comes in to seduce him and he's like, "Ew, no."
Well, maybe he would, and then he'd run off like he did in Casino Royale.
Perfect.
Such a badass. And that goes back to this, because this is not the same Bond. Even in the gadgets, when you introduced Q in Skyfall, he says, "We're past the exploding pens," which was a reference to GoldenEye. And then you see this movie, and there's a gadget here that's like, okay, well, that's pretty much an exploding pen in this movie. So I don't know if they just ignored that, and they're just like, let's just make a classic Bond movie. So that was my big deal with it, is you give us a Bond at the very beginning, back in 2006, and it's not the same Bond that we get now, over almost 10 years later with Spectre.
Overall, I did enjoy the movie. I don't think maybe I have seen all 4 of these Bond movies. If I have, it's been a really long time. But I did enjoy this one overall. Granted, I had been up since 5 in the morning by the time we saw it, so I might have fallen asleep in a few parts. But there were certain moments that didn't quite make sense, and maybe if I went back through and saw it a second time, it would. The opening scene was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Astounding. One of the best Bond openings.
Yeah, they could have ended there, and I would have just been satisfied, actually, with the money that I spent. Because it was phenomenal. But overall, I thought it was a solid movie. It wasn't my least favorite of the 4. Mm-hmm. And Daniel Craig is always great to see.
That he is. As far as the plot goes, it takes off running from that opening scene, which is amazing. In Casino Royale, you saw a better one, but still excellent, because it retained that energy throughout the rest of the movie. Right. Even in the middle of a poker game, it was intense. And then in between matches, there's these guys with machetes running around in the hotel. So that was great. And then with Spectre, in comparison, it all kind of comes to a halt as he's trying to figure out who Spectre is and who's behind it all. It's right in the middle, and then it finally builds up into the climax, which ends up being a little bit anticlimactic, actually. And there were still script rewrites when an early version of the script released, in which there wasn't as much action as the ending that we got. And even in this one, I felt like it was still lacking a little bit with this huge villain that established himself as the one who choreographed Bond's problems in the previous movies, even from the beginning with Casino. Right. And this is how you stop him. It was kind of like, well, that was kind of weak, for a villain like this. So it felt like the script could have still used a little bit of time. The cinematographer was not the same as Skyfall, so some of the shots, while beautiful, weren't as perfectly set up as they were in Skyfall, which I felt was probably the best shot of the current Daniel Craig Bond movies.
Overall, though, still a great movie.
A lot of fun.
I definitely recommend that you guys go see it once, twice, 3 times. Let it earn back its money, because it was expensive.
Hopefully Daniel Craig comes back for the next Bond movie, which is the last one under his contract, and I think he will. And I hope it wraps everything up really nicely, and maybe they'll get another director. One of the big rumored ones for Spectre, when Sam Mendes was not returning, was Christopher Nolan. Someone they were really trying to get. I think a Nolan Bond movie would be very interesting. So whatever comes of the new Bond, even if they go with a brand new version and a new character, whether it's our first non-white Bond or maybe a female Bond, whatever they do, we're going to be there, and we're really excited, and we're glad that Daniel Craig has had this strong of a run so far.
What if, you can choose between Chris Nolan And your favorite director.
Darren Aronofsky?
Yes.
Aronofsky, all day. All day.
Even if, like, there were rock monsters?
Yes, Aronofsky. if there were rock monsters in James Bond and Aronofsky was directing, I would be okay with it. He would make it work. He would fight those rock monsters. He would seduce one of them, like the female rock monster. He would seduce.
It'd be the first rock monster Bond girl.
Yeah.
What if James Bond like turned into a golden bubble and flew into the sky?
And that was the end of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, remake my favorite movie of all time, The Fountain, in its ending. I'm in.
It'd be so silly.
Not as silly, however, is, even though you call it Ass Effect, it's
it
not
is
its
Ass
name.
Effect. That's
it's
right,
Mass
that's
Effect Andromeda.
Ass Effect.
Another trailer released on N7 Day.
I don't know what that means.
N7 Day is the anniversary of when the first Mass Effect released.
Oh, is it November 7th? Because that's in 7. It's November 7th. Real clever, Ass Effect. Real clever.
In a tweet last week, studio director for BioWare in Montreal confirmed that Shepard will not be the main character in Andromeda.
There's a quote saying, "Plans haven't changed. This is Shepard signing off, wishing you Godspeed on a new adventure."
If you've seen the trailer already, there's a huge narrative. There's not any gameplay footage in it, but there's a huge narrative from a female, what is essentially Jennifer Hale. And if at the very end you know that it's Jennifer Hale because she does say Shepard signing off. And you're like, holy shit, yes, Shepard's going to be back. You're going to play as Shepard again. Somehow you can import your Shepard into this game.
JK!
And yeah, they're telling us that it's not the case. That this was just like a nice Easter egg or like a send-off to the new characters. I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. If we get to play as an alien in the new one or a whole new human character, I'm still going to buy it. I can't wait. It's not the exact same storyteller from the previous games from what I can tell.
How about
but they have my $60.
we not buy it and you just spend time with your wife instead of ignoring
So what's going to happen
wife.
when Kingdom of Hearts 3 releases
We're
in
gonna
7
play
years?
that together.
We're not going to play that together.
We're going to play it together.
I remember in Kingdom of Hearts 2, when the 100 Heartless came up, you're like, I'm going to do this part. And
Yeah,
then that was the best part of the game.
It was the best part of the game.
And that was my first time playing it. You had played it before, and I still haven't played the 100 Heartless
Okay,
fight.
well, when I get there again, you can play it. And by you play it, I mean I'll play it again.
In full high definition.
Yes. And you can watch me be jealous. Tell you what, you can play 100 Heartless if you don't get Ass Effect.
That is not a deal.
That's
I will give
deal.
up 100 Heartless and Kingdom of Hearts for Mass Effect. You had mentioned earlier Nintendo Direct.
Yes. So keep in mind my friend has pre-ordered all of these things because they're amazing. But we did get Nintendo Direct Thursday, November 12th. Released some amazing things. And we're going to go over them right now for you guys.
Some of the smaller third-party titles you can check out the full information on with Nintendo.com or Kotaku.com. But these are the highlights. These are the ones that everyone was talking about. And the first one, the big one being with the Wii U, a new challenger approaches.
You didn't say that right.
I don't think there's a way to say it.
A new challenger approaches. I don't know. I don't even know that.
Cloud Strife, the legendary protagonist from the classic RPG game Final Fantasy VII, will enter the battlefield as a playable fighter in Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS in the near future.
So this is the character that everybody voted for. Yes.
Allegedly, right?
That made it in there. I still think Corey in the House won, but you know.
We're still waiting on him. Maybe there's gonna be a Smash Brothers Direct next month, so maybe they're gonna announce Corey.
That would be amazing, but that's not gonna happen. Okay.
Still waiting on Goku, also.
Yes, and Batman.
Yeah.
And Sora. I'm sure Sora made it pretty high in that list.
And Chrom from Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Because we need another Fire Emblem character
we do,
in there.
of course. Why not? You need all the Fire Emblem characters in there. But this is pretty amazing. I'm sure fans will absolutely adore this character.
There's a whole stage for it. You've got the Final Fantasy VII music. He has his final smash. They've basically made Cloud, taken him straight from Final Fantasy VII and put him into a Nintendo system. Some people are saying that this is kind of weird that Cloud is in Smash Brothers since he was never in any of... there was no solo Final Fantasy VII title on Nintendo platforms. Mm-hmm. So that's very true. But they did say when the voting came about that it didn't necessarily have to be a character that has appeared on a Nintendo platform.
Right. What would you do if they release this? Obviously, they make $1 bajillion because people are going to buy him. And then they release Final Fantasy VII on Nintendo.
That'd be a good strategy.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
That'd
perfect
be super
combo.
smart. Like, you, like, beat him. They're like, a new challenger approaches, and you fight him, and you beat him. And then they're like, a new game approaches, and you're like, oh, shit. And then you just start playing the game, and you have to beat the game before you can go back to your Final Fantasy. I mean, before you go back to your Smash Brothers.
To the character select screen.
Yes. So, like, 7 years later.
Turn off your system, turn it back on. It's still on Final Fantasy 7.
Yep. But you just lost all your save that you just played, so...
So players already know that something sold out with pre-orders, and this is a title that originally released on the Wii and Nintendo GameCube back in 2006.
This is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD.
It is a visually remastered remake of one of the most critically acclaimed games in the Legend of Zelda series. This is the game that came out when people bitched when they saw the Wind Waker graphics, and they're like, we want a realistic Link. So Nintendo went, alright, well, the next one's going to be a realistic Link, and that's what we're going to do. And it sold really well. We still like Wind Waker, we like Twilight Princess, but now they're bringing this out yet again. And I think that's great, because a lot of people that grew up with Twilight Princess and that was their Zelda game, they can now play it in full HD.
So this new game launches on March 4th in a bundle with a detailed new amiibo figure modeled after Wolf Link and Midna characters in the game.
I think people were more excited for the Wolf Link amiibo than anything. And it is a really good piece. He's sitting on a stone, and it's straight out of the game. It looks gorgeous. The game will also be compatible with 5 other The Legend of Zelda amiibo from the Super Smash Bros. Series. The game's iconic soundtrack will be offered as a bonus for fans who pre-order the game from select retailers. As I said last week, pre-order them titles.
That's awesome, too. That is a great giveaway. It was also revealed that certain save data from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD on the Wolf Link amiibo can be carried over to the 2016's Legend of Zelda for the Wii U.
So maybe that's rupees, maybe that's an extra costume for Link. That's not known yet, but that's kind of awesome that they're already working in the new Zelda game, which, yes, we know is coming out next year sometime, but they're taking the time and using the amiibos as an extra incentive for people to pick up Twilight Princess.
That's so smart. They know how to sell stuff.
So Zelda fans, I feel, are satisfied. They're good to go. I'm like, well...
They went,
Yeah, they came and they fell asleep. So they missed the rest of the news, of course. And they did not care. They got off on Zelda and they're happy.
Well, they probably ran to pre-order it first, right after. And then they're like, okay, I'll pre-order it.
I think they came twice, is what happened. Our news is coming up. One of the Pokemon bits, and that is a further incentive for fans and people who plan to get Pokken Tournament ahead of time.
So fans who purchase a first-run version of the Potekken, it's going to be Potekken forever. First-run version of Pokken Tournament at retail stores will receive a limited edition Shadow Mewtwo amiibo card that immediately unlocks in the character in the game.
We talked about Shadow Mewtwo last week. Do you remember he's that secret boss or final boss of the game?
Weird old rocks sticking out of him. Yeah.
So you can have them playable. I don't know if that's gonna be something you have to pay for in the future, and it probably will be. And maybe they'll come out with a Shadow Mewtwo amiibo, and that'd be smart if they did. If they brought out amiibos just for Pokken Tournament, because you know I'm gonna fucking get that Gengar one, and you're gonna get the Pikachu one, and someone else. I'm sure my brother will get the Shadow Mewtwo one. So this is great, and they're saying the first run of these, so that's the if you want to get a first one, pre-order the fucking game. I'm telling you, it's gonna be one of those things. If you want Shadow Mewtwo for free and not want to pay extra for it, just pre-order it. You know you're gonna get it. Pokken Tournament.
Potekken.
My Nintendo game for the Wii U next year, and for this year if it had released, if it wasn't delayed, but they're taking their time on it. Star Fox Zero got a street date of April 22nd. They also gave us extra footage with the different characters. We saw the intros of Falco, Peppy, Slippy, and Fox, and the different environments and different vehicles, how they each transform. The graphics, I think, still look the same as what we saw in E3, which I did not have a problem with. Again, graphics are the last things I look at. I'm always big on gameplay. But a lot of gamers are still saying those textures do look shitty if you're going around in a little tank that's slow. It's going to take more time, and you're going to actually take a real good look at those textures, and they're not going to be there. I don't care. I want to shoot ships. I want the gameplay to be tight. I want to have dogfights in the air against Starwolf. I'm in on this one. Star Fox Zero, I've already pre-ordered that bitch.
You want to know what this game is to me?
What's that?
It is not Star Fox Zero. It is number of hours your husband will spend with you, 0. Because that is what this game is.
So what's the bigger threat to you, Star Fox Zero or Mass Effect Andromeda?
Definitely Mass Effect. Because in the last one, like, you had to watch the story and you had to play it all the way through, but then you have to go back and you got to play it again because you got to make a new character, and then you got to keep doing things, and then I'd be talking to you, and then you'd ignore me, and then half an hour later you'd go, huh? But I'm no longer in the room.
Fucking Mass Effect, so good. If you guys haven't gotten it, get that trilogy. It is great.
If you have a significant other, don't get it because you will lose them. They will leave.
Those Legend of Zelda fans, while they were knocked out from their sexual experiences, they missed out on Hyrule Warriors Legends and the brand new character that is joining the roster.
So there is a new character called Linkle. A girl who lives in a small village and wields 2 crossbows joins the large cast of playable characters in 3DS's Hyrule Warriors Legends.
This is set to release in March 25th, 2016. So we have our female Link that people have been asking for, and they're hoping that this Link will be playable in 2016's Legend of Zelda.
She will be cosplayable.
That she will. Someone right now has already finished that costume.
Already done.
And they're getting ready to do it. What do you think? Female Link, awesome? Would you play as female Link in the new Legend of Zelda or any Zelda games that they release?
Absolutely. And I hope that with female Link, then you get like Zeldo or Zelrado or whatever his name is.
That's so true. They should make a male princess.
It'd be great. And then he'd be a prince.
Nah, keep him a princess.
And then a female character going around trying to save a guy. Awesome. I would play that in a heartbeat. That'd be so cool. So, really, really smart. I mean, of course, you have people who are going to buy the game just for female Link. You have all the cosplayers that, you know, like we said, the costume's already finished for somebody out there.
So the name Linkle, I think they should just name her Link also.
Yeah.
Same name.
Yeah, but then you'd have to name Zelrado just Zelda. And I like Zelrado better.
So Zelda's definitely a female name? Like, there's no way that could be taken as a male name?
Not really.
7-year-old me would disagree, because I remember, just like everyone else, I thought that Zelda was the main character. Until Super Smash Bros. Came out, and then it's like, oh, his name is Link, actually. Who's this Link character? Where's Zelda?
Bring Zelda back. No, Zelda's definitely a female name. I just think Zelrado is, like, way cooler.
So not Zeldo?
No, Zelrado.
Zelrado.
Yes. That might be
the name of the episode.
Zelrado. I think I'm naming our firstborn Zelrado now. Just FYI. Because it's pretty awesome.
So here's the one bit of third-party news. Everyone's favorite Capcom, Sega, and Bandai Namco characters are crossing over yet again in Project Cross Zone 2.
This time, Nintendo was also joining the fun by adding Chrom and Lucina from Fire Emblem Awakening and Fiora from Xenoblade Chronicles to the game.
This one launches on February 16th, 2016, exclusively for the 3DS. I played the first one, and I got about 75% completed on it. Mm-hmm. Near the end, all these levels started getting extremely repetitive, so I had to stop. I'm like, I'm defeating him the exact same way. I love that I can use Morgan and Ryu and Street Fighter characters, and that's a lot of fun. The gameplay is amazing. I had such a blast with it. I love that the sprites are animated in such a way that you don't have to use, you know, the 3D rendered graphics that we have today.
Right.
So I really appreciated that, and I'll probably give the second one a try also. Especially with the Fire Emblem characters making it into it. Mm-hmm. So, personally, I'm excited. I don't know if I'm going to buy it day one, though.
It's brilliant to add the Fire Emblem characters because, first off, Chrom and Lucina are fantastic.
Would you say those are the two characters from that game that are most recognizable?
Absolutely.
And is it because of Smash Brothers or even after the game ended?
I think after the game ended because, and I can't speak from a male perspective, you know, of course, played it as a female, and I was like, Chrom, he my man. Married him, and then by default, Lucina was my daughter. Spoiler alert. Sorry, guys. So that's why they were most memorable to me. But also, just between the two, it wove such an amazing story. So definitely smart to use them in this. And I hope we get to see those characters in the future like you have with other Fire Emblem characters.
And staying on the Fire Emblem news, Kelli and I have been wondering how exactly we're going to be able to purchase the Fire Emblem games when they come to North America. In Japan, they have the capability of they can release 3 Fire Emblem games, and they know that that market over there will definitely support it. Mm-hmm. With Fire Emblem Awakening, they weren't as sure if the North American audience were going to go out and buy it. Thankfully, they did, and they said that's why they're going to continue to make Fire Emblem games, because it did sell really well. Now, we didn't know if they were going to bring out all 3. I don't think we had as much faith that even though Awakening was a success and critically acclaimed too, that gamers would buy 3 versions of the same story.
The same game, essentially, yeah.
And now we have our answer. So with Fire Emblem Fates, by purchasing one of the 2 main games, so we know for sure there's going to be 2, at a suggested retail price of $39.99 each, Fire Emblem Fates Birthright or Fire Emblem Fates Conquest, players can choose to embark on a unique quest with a different story and different experiences. So that's your incentive right there to buy both versions. Just buy them both. One's going to focus more on the combat, one's going to focus more on the maps. So you're going to have survive for 15 turns and then take over the throne. So that would require you to actually go into a castle and defeat the enemies.
I'm going to play that one. You can have the other one.
You're going to play both.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. And decisions will play a part in both games.
Yep, so depending on the decisions that you make early in the game, it will dictate the game's story and difficulty.
That's awesome. I love games that will take the little bits that you choose and just expand on it, and then see how that reflects on the ending possibly, or just even as you continue on your journey. It doesn't have to necessarily affect the entire ending for me personally. After purchasing one game, the downloadable version of the other is available for players at $20. So if you're not like us where we have to have the physical version,
right,
you can just get one and then download the other version for $20 and you're good to go. So that's already saving you $20.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that'll be great too, because people, maybe they've never played a Fire Emblem game before. They're going to get one of them, play the whole thing, go, oh shit, this was really good. I want the other one. Oh, it's only $20. Awesome. Like, that's a great way to sell both games.
Especially if you get attached to the characters. You want to see the same scenes from a different perspective. And maybe you don't think certain characters that you thought were assholes are assholes anymore. Because now you're playing as them or alongside them and creating relationships and marriages.
It would be really interesting to play one version and then play the other one and then go back and play the first one again and see how different you play things, because you feel for different characters.
And we probably will. Especially you, because you're going to make different kids, different babies.
I would be like, look at these babies, look at these babies.
You're going to have your gay couples.
Oh, the babies. So, we mentioned 2 versions, but there is a third.
Yes, the third one will be coming.
A new version approaches. So there will be a third downloadable version in the near future, Fire Emblem Fates Revelation, for players who own either Fire Emblem Fates Birthright or Fire Emblem Fates Conquest and want to take on a new challenge and experience an alternative version of the game.
That I'm not sure exactly what that means. I don't know if that means we're going to get an entirely different ending. I don't know if certain characters are going to die, and maybe we're going to follow a third group somewhere that we see in the first 2 games that we now get to play as in Revelations. Either way, we are absolutely in. They haven't told us if or what this actual game will cost, Revelation. Maybe it'll be another $20. But if you're like us and you want to go all out on Fire Emblem, because Fire Emblem is your favorite of the 3DS titles and probably one of the best Nintendo franchises now as far as rating and gameplay, you can get a special edition version of this current series of these 3 games that includes all 3, an art book, a 3DS XL pouch at a suggested retail price of $79.99.
Perfect. Done.
So the price of those 2 physical games, which we would have gotten separately either way, we now get all the bonus stuff and then the Revelation title.
I don't think this really saves us any money, but I'm guaranteed to get all 3 games, and you can't say no to an art book.
Ours is pre-ordered. We're in.
Perfect.
Absolutely
Done.
Fucking in. We are insane. Fire Emblem Fates is to Nintendo what Batman is to the DC Comics when it comes to us.
Yes.
Like, we would just dive right in at the biggest version, sign us up, here's our money.
So you said you pre-ordered it already?
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to get you for Christmas?
You can pay off the pre-order.
No. We'll split that bitch. Cannot wait though. So excited for this to come out. I'm sad it's so far away.
here's the news that I had several Brokeheads send our way because they know how big a fan you are and how long you've been asking for this, although it's not a remake, but it's still one of your favorite Pokemon games of all time, probably your favorite.
Yes.
Where it all began, the original Pokemon games.
Woohoo! Dun, 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 dun,
Pokemon Red version, Pokemon Blue version, and Pokemon Yellow version are coming to the Nintendo eShop on Nintendo 3DS on February 27th, the same day that the original games released in Japan in 1996.
Amazing. I'm so happy. I saw this, I cried a little bit because it was perfect. It was finally here. And then I can play it again and be super angry because it's so slow for their HP bar to go down. And it takes so long to level up your Pokemon. Statistically, it does take longer to level them up in those games.
It does. It really does. And they don't have all the items that we have now, like Experience All. Or I'm sure there was an Experience Share, but Experience All is a big deal.
No, they did have Experience All.
Is it much later on in the game, I'm assuming?
No, they didn't have Experience Share because you can't attach an item to just one Pokemon in that game. So it was all X-Ball.
Okay.
So everybody shared it, but it took that experience and it just divided it between all the Pokemon. So you'd get like 30 experience. And it took forever. I remember I'd fight somebody and then I'd pull up my stats to see how much more I had to go, and then I'd like count down until I leveled up. It was horrible, but I love it. I'm gonna buy it.
So you'll be playing out on the 3DS.
Yes.
They haven't given us a price point on this one yet. What is the max amount that you'd pay for Pokemon Yellow again?
$30.
Are you gonna get either red or blue, or just yellow and stick to that?
I would just start out with yellow and then decide if I wanted the other ones. But there's probably, and actually be smarter for you to get the other ones, because then I could trade all the Pokemans.
Yeah, that's very true. I think my main problem with, if I were to get any of these, I would have to get blue or red, because it has the original Pokemon sprites, whereas in yellow they went ahead and corrected any of the issues and they made them look more like the TV show.
But then you can get all the starters.
I only need one. Well, I only need one.
I like having all of them.
I would get Squirtle and Charmander and just throw them in the PC.
That's so not nice.
And I would just keep Bulbasaur. I'm like, what do I need these fucking assholes?
Keep only Bulbasaur?
Only Bulbasaur. I'll just train Bulbasaur. I'll just train Bulbasaur. I did. The first time I ever played it, I had a Bulbasaur only for the longest time. And it didn't help that going through Brock, he was a leaf type, so it's just like, fuck this fucking Onyx.
Well, when you pick Bulbasaur, you're picking the game on easy. I'm just saying.
It's called Bulbasaur because the world is made easier for you when you choose an awesome Pokemon like Bulbasaur.
Yeah, okay, or the first 2 gyms are weak against grass.
That's their own damn fault. So there you go. Via the eShop, preserved as much as possible on the originals. So absolutely great. I do hope that they have some kind of save state like they do on the rest of the Virtual Console games. I don't see why they wouldn't. So that'll help a lot, even though you could save at any point anyway. But still, like a save state makes it more accessible, I guess.
Something else I hope comes back soon. I guess Pokemon took us, 10 years? No, 20 years.
Yeah, we're
96. 20 years. Wow. Well, hopefully this does not take 20 years to come back to us. We recently saw Arrow's Constantine episode, and from that, it spurred fans to sign a petition to bring back Constantine.
Yeah, a whole new season of Constantine, bringing him his own show again. The new petition targets El Rey, CW, Netflix, Yahoo Screen, and USA in an attempt to revive the previously canceled show.
The petition so far has received over 24,000 signatures.
If you were to check that thing now, it would be way over this. I guarantee you that. We saw the episode, and we liked the Constantine portions.
Yes, I enjoyed the Constantine portions.
Any new Brokehead listeners know that we aren't the biggest Arrow fans. I actually think it's probably the worst of the DC television shows. I would put it right down there with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I really don't like it.
What about Hulk Agents of Smash?
I haven't seen that. I'll give Paul Dini his shot. But with Arrow, this is the 4th season now.
I don't even know.
The acting is still awful. I'm sorry. I know there's fans of Stephen Amell out there. I can't stand it. We were watching this, and I'm like, that's his same emotion every time for every one of his scenes. He has no range, and I don't know. Maybe maybe it's just because, this is our only Green Arrow and people are just happy that there's Green Arrow on the television screen, or they've already attached themselves to how this character looks. Whatever it is, I don't blame you for liking Arrow. I think it's great that people find something that they enjoy, and if that's Arrow, that's fine too. It just wasn't for me. I don't think any of the characters are compelling at all. Maybe that one police officer, I think he was near the end of the episode, and even then it's...
he was all throughout the episode. Clearly you didn't pay attention.
But the Constantine portions, like, he just outacted Stephen Amell.
He did.
He stole every single scene.
Here I am being a fucking badass. Give me my own show. That's pretty much what he said.
I've heard rumors that one of the producers on the show has said that Constantine will not be returning to the rest of the season on Arrow. Which I think is kind of weird if that's true, because this response to Constantine has been pretty strong, and it would be smart for them to at the very least keep him as a continuing character in Arrow and The Flash, since those are in the same universe.
Right. I agree. I mean, I would love to see him in The Flash, because we do really enjoy The Flash, and getting to see all those characters together would be great. You'd have Cisco over there trying to debunk his magic with science, which would be a lot of fun. No, make this happen! Wow, I just got really excited for this fictional episode in my mind. Okay, sorry. But overall, I want a Constantine television series back because, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, like, the supernatural within DC is very hard for me to grasp. And so it's easier when it's in a Constantine show because that's all it is. When you pull him into a different show, it's difficult for me to really get into it because I know that there's all this other science and things around it, and magic isn't such a large part of that world.
Whether we see Constantine again or not, I'm grateful that he even appeared in Arrow, and then we got to see him one more time, and I think he jumped right into the same shoes right again, and it was seamless. It was just Constantine, and he kicked ass, and he was great.
Some sad news about our DC shows, though. During a conference call on Wednesday, Time Warner CEO Jeff Box told investors that he is considering delaying the Warner TV shows to streaming services beyond the 1-year time frame.
So as we covered on the podcast last year, we had mentioned that Gotham and The Flash were going to make it to Netflix October 2015, and it did. Both of those shows made it season 1 for The Flash and Gotham. And it came so quick, too. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But by the time season 1 started, season 2 began on the television show. So to me, I felt like that was a very good, from a marketing standpoint, because people can catch up on season 1 using Netflix, and they're like, okay, so I know season 2 is only a couple of episodes in, now I can at least check these out, or binge watch all of the season, so I can watch what's currently going on in season 2. But unfortunately, if they do decide to go in this direction, this would shift focus over to cable services like On Demand.
Cable services we can't afford.
Yeah, seriously.
Investors see Netflix and Hulu as too much of a competitive platform and want to keep the cable television model going. Trying to ride a dead horse here, guys.
Exactly right. I'm sorry. Cable's great. And it did awesome stuff for a lot of programming. When did it really take off? Like late 90s, mid 90s?
Yeah.
Where it was absolutely huge, and it was a pretty big deal that you could just choose all these various channels and then eventually record.
Right, exactly. That's especially when you started being able to record, that's when people said, okay, now it's worth it. People who worked maybe odd shifts, and so they couldn't see the shows that they really liked during the day. Oh, now I can record it. Worth it.
And I think they're absolutely right. Netflix and Hulu are a huge competitor, and it's because we can watch these anytime we want for a much cheaper price. Yeah, we're not getting hundreds of channels. I'm missing out on my White Sox games, so sporting events are kind of gone. I have to buy a whole different service if I want to try to catch any MLB games, and that comes down to me, right? That's a separate purchase that I would have to make. But as far as cable, I think a lot of people our age especially are just sticking with Netflix or just sticking with Hulu or both.
Well, part of the problem too is cable's just so expensive that it's not even worth it. My mom was telling me, of course my dad watches a lot of sports, so they have to have the sports and all the different television shows. And she was saying that the price actually just went up like $80 a month. So they're paying over $140 a month for cable. And it's just ridiculous. It doesn't... I mean, I guess for some people it's worth it, but that just doesn't make sense in my mind.
They're completely backwards on this, in my opinion. I hope they don't go in this direction, and unfortunately, if they do end up extending that period to Netflix, it will probably continue to extend also to Hulu. We probably won't get the next day episodes like we do now. It'll probably be maybe a week or a month before we get that month's episode, and unfortunately, we would just have to live with it. I don't have the energy to go to that specific website for that network to try to watch the latest episode and stream it through there. I'd rather just have it on Hulu. That's kind of the whole point of the service, and I think Hulu and Netflix will fight to try to get those television shows faster than what they're trying to propose. But, I mean, only time will tell. There's definitely going to be a bigger headbutt over cable and streaming services in the very near future.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy battle, and hopefully services like Netflix and Hulu win.
So before we move into our sponsors and our comic book reviews of the week, we did have a question of the week for Broquettes out there. And this one was based on what you thought a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, the Coriander and Dick Grayson relationship, or do Broquettes prefer the Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson relationship?
So our first response comes from Andres33 from Instagram, who says, Coriander. Well, only if it's not this version.
All that hate on the New 52. Another one from also Instagram, Caballero Art, and that's spelled Cabaleiro. Quote, Babs, but pre-New 52 Babs, the way Chuck Dixon wrote them. Chuck Dixon, of course, also wrote, if you want an example of Batgirl and Dick Grayson, you can also pick up the trade paperback Batgirl Robin Year One as an example.
There's a lot of New 52 hate going on here.
It's still going. It's so insane that it's 4 years later and people are still like, no, the New 52. It's like, fucking just read it. Knock it off.
Read it and enjoy. So then from Facebook, we did get 2 responses. The first is from Vicky, who says, I'm a strong believer that Dick belongs to Babs. However, I really do love Corey.
And then finally, Charlie, also from Facebook, said, quote, why not both?
Yeah!
I think Barbara Gordon would have a problem with that.
I think Starfire would probably have a problem with that.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure she would.
No.
I'm pretty sure she's going to be pretty possessive.
Because the way Corey works is she's like, well, I'm in love with you now when we're having sex. But then when she likes someone else, she's with that person then. So in her mind, she doesn't understand the meaning of like staying with one person and staying with that person even when you're out and about. So that's why I feel like Corey would be absolutely fine with it.
I still haven't decided which one I like him with. I probably need to read more fan fiction before I can make my educated decision.
Broquettes in the Central Florida area. Don't forget about our sponsor, Dr. Phillips Center at the Walt Disney Theater. Check out Pokemon Symphonic Evolutions on Friday, December 4th at 8 p.m.
So close. I can't wait. So, Pokemon Symphonic Evolutions has become the must-see video game concert of the year, giving fans and newcomers of all ages a chance to experience the evolution of the Pokemon franchise like never before.
Tickets start at $25, and you can get them at www.drphillipscenter.org.
But something even closer than that, which will tide me over until I can get to my Pokemon Mega Day, that's what I'm going to call it. We do have MegaCon Fan Days, which is November 21st through the 22nd.
So we do want to highlight some of the guests for MegaCon Fan Days, and this is local creators. They are Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor, who, of course, are working on the current Harley Quinn series, very big for DC right now, but also previously titles like Painkiller Jane.
You can pick up tickets at megaconfandays.com.
You can also go the day of to try to pick up tickets, but I always recommend getting them ahead of time. Most of the time you save a little bit of money, but also you save yourself that long-ass line on site. So just get your ticket ahead of time. Go to the booth for advance tickets, get your wristband, boom, you're in. Get some signatures from Jimmy and Amanda.
They're great people if you've never met them. We run into them every single MegaCon, and they're always the highlight of our visit.
We also have a couple of shout-outs for our Patreon supporters. This week we have Lourdes and Katie, and also Bobby on Twitter at Cuban Slim.
Thank you guys so much for all of your support. If you too, Broquettes, want your personal shout out, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/reasonsimbroke for as little as $1 a month. You too could be a supporter and get your own shout out on our show.
And if you're big on the amiibo stuff, be sure to follow at Cuban Slim because he does retweet a lot of the amiibo alerts, and he will let you know for sure. If amiibo alerts doesn't, he will at least remind you that that Mewtwo is out there and you can actually pick it up or pre-order at a certain place. So definitely check him out. Again, at Cuban Slim, and the other shout out to Lourdes and Katie.
We want to specify, though, that our podcast will always be free. We do this for you guys because it's so much fun, and we love interacting and sharing our love with people who love this stuff as well.
A huge help with the Patreon has been decalavenue.net. They've definitely helped us out with the decals that we're sending out to the Patreon supporters that are at the $5 mark. So the decals are awesome. They're high quality. They're great. They look awesome. I've never had a printing error from them. So definitely check them out if you need any decals of your own. That's decalavenue.net.
So with that, guys, we can move into our comic book pull list of the week. We have 2 indie, 1 Marvel, and 4 DC books for you this week.
First indie book is Adventure Time number 46, written by Christopher Hastings and Maddie Martin, with art by Zachary Sterling and Maddie Martin, colors by Marta Laiho.
I think this is my pass of the week.
I can see that. This was a weaker Adventure Time than what we've gotten in the past. I think what really disappointed me the most was the backup story where we're trying to learn about this brand new princess, which is like the water princess, I think is what they name her. Mm-hmm. And it's all just like a big environmental story. And I'm normally okay with those, but for this, it felt way too tacked on with the Adventure Time characters.
Right. It wasn't even subtle. It was, all the water's gone. Why is the water gone? Because we waste the water.
And you pollute and you shit on it, and that was the very end of it. The main story itself, it's I don't know his name. I don't know if I watch enough Adventure Time to actually know, but it's Finn and Jake's, or I guess it's just Jake's dad. Yeah. But I think Finn still sees him as a father. And he was trying to direct them through some kind of dungeon where there's all these monsters and they're trying to get the statue, which we still don't know what the benefit of them protecting this thing is. But we do find out later through the introduction of a brand new character in the Adventure Time series.
The statue was of that character. Did you catch that?
No, I'll have to go back and flip through it. But that sort of... So it's kind of like a genie-ish type of...
It's something. So we get the introduction of a new character, and... this was pretty much a setup issue. So this arc has a lot of potential to be a whole lot of fun. But what happened at the end is the statue was of that character, and then the dad said this is a place that's meant to be forgotten, or of things that are forgotten, which leads into the story.
All right, so that is your pass of the week. Mm-hmm. Our next title comes from Dustin Nguyen, who is the artist, and the writer Jeff Lemire, and that is Descender number 7.
You did not say that right.
Say it for me.
Dustin Nguyen. This
is meant to be a jumping on point for Descender number 7, for the Descender series. There are some things happening here that you would definitely help if you've read the previous series, especially the fact that Timba does miss certain characters in this issue. So I wouldn't call this fully a jumping on point. I still think you should go back and pick up the previous 6 issues because it has been such a strong story. But otherwise, we do have the beginning of a new arc for the characters here.
So the ending of this just blew me away. It was the coolest thing ever. And as I'm reading it, I'm kind of like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And then it happened.
Yet another new character for another series.
It's not a new character.
It sort of is. If you're taking a time jump.
I guess. Anyway, super excited. This comic needs to hurry up and come out again.
Our 1 Marvel book for the week, and that is All New Wolverine number 1, written by Tom Taylor, art by David Lopez and David Navarrete, colors by Nathan Fairbairn.
This is my pick of the week.
I didn't see that one coming.
Really? It was really good.
So let us know what you liked about it.
Oh, lots of things. So it's a strong female character. It follows female Wolverine, who's really, really awesome.
Yeah, Wolverine's clone, right?
Female
X-23.
Wolverine. Female Wolverine. Okay, let me have this moment. It's called All New Wolverine, and it's a female, so it's female Wolverine. Really cool character, though. We're pushed right in the middle of a mystery and some action, and we get to meet characters who are very close to her, obviously, right off the bat. But I love the way they write this character because she's rough around the edges. She's not like, oh man, I need someone to save me. She's like, I'm just going to take this action and what happens. You know, this is, I just need to do what needs to be done, which I really admire. This is awesome.
And she's also remembering the training that she got from Logan while she's going through this. So you see that the Wolverine still lives through her because they've both gone through similar experiences. They've both been trained. Well, she was trained to be an assassin, and he was essentially tortured, and his body was tested, and his memories got erased, and a lot of bad shit happened to both these characters. And fortunately, Logan was further along on his path that he was able to kind of guide her during her previous missteps as her life progressed for Laura. So that, I felt, was very strong and a good portion of the book. And this is another comic that's $4.99, part of Marvel's #1s, but you get extra pages, and it's not a Gwenpool backstory. So I was happy to pay the extra $1 on this.
Our next book is Batman #46. This is written by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo, and the colorist is FCO Placencia.
This one is actually my pick of the week.
Really?
We see in the very first panel even what happens to... what comes out of that device that Bruce was going to allegedly use to bring back his memories, potentially bring back his memories. And Scott Snyder immediately says, no, fuck you, that's not how we're going to bring back Batman. I was like, holy shit. Like, it's in the very first panel and you see it, and it kind of tells you that this story that he's setting up is not going to be what you expect. And then he goes into everything else, and he's like, okay, now let's go meet Mr. Bloom. This is what he's going to act like. This is what happens when he confronts Gordon. And it's Gordon establishing himself as Batman. You were going to fire me? Cool, but I'm going to go down. If I have to die as Batman protecting the city, then I'm going to do it. I don't care if you fire me or not. This is going to be my duty. And I feel like that's so Batman of him because he doesn't give a shit. And it's also it's very much what GCPD has been established as, at least the good ones, in the Gotham City.
It was a really good issue. The parts that threw me were the Bruce parts, where I'm like, really, Bruce? Hurry up and get your memories back, because this is all nonsense.
You don't like Bruce that has sex in the shower and wants to get married?
The married part is what, no. I mean, have all the sex in the shower you want, that's hot, but, like, married? No. That's not Bruce. Batman doesn't get married.
So right now there is no Batman for you?
No, not really. Not in the series. There's a bunny suit who drives a ridiculously huge motorcycle.
And he was awesome in this. He wasn't goofing off and running around like you previously thought he did.
He wasn't. He wasn't going, my life, I'm not Batman.
What'd you think of Duke Thomas making an appearance in this?
He was pretty cool. I enjoyed seeing him and seeing him act as Robin, essentially, and how he's very innovative in the ways he's trying to get out of things. And, you know, we're kind of left on a cliffhanger with him, so hurry up, next issue.
Now we have Superman Loves Batman as our next comic.
Yes, so this is Batman Superman #26. Is written by Greg Pak with art by Ardian Sif and Cliff Richards, and the colorist is Beth Sotelo.
This one is actually my pass of the week.
Really? I can see that.
What happens with Superman Loves Batman when you take out Superman Loves Batman? We had none of that in this.
But you had, like, Superman spending time with Batman's kids, pretending they're his own children. Because he's like, okay, so you get to do this because you're so smart, and you get to do this because you're really strong. Like, that's how moms talk to their kids.
Superman would be the mom.
Yeah, he would.
I don't know, I didn't feel like there was enough Superman Loves Batman in this. In the story itself, we didn't get a lot of Vandal Savage on top of that. So it's Superman being the Boy Scout, and that works, that's fine. If Superman fans like that, then you get that in this. But the reason I'm reading it is for the moments like the last issue where he says, I don't have you, Bruce. And I didn't get that. There was no payoff for me.
I could see that. It was cool for me to see all the Bat kids working together. So that's why it's not my pass of the week. But you're right. There was no Superman Loves Batman moment this week.
You know, there's a group out there, and I noticed it because of the Poison Ivy League, which I realize, maybe I'll go into a little rant here before the next comic, but there's a group out there that wants Red Hood and Barbara Gordon to get together.
Okay.
And I don't really see... there's been a couple of issues where they've worked together, and maybe... I guess anytime any two characters work together, people see them as a couple immediately, and they get attached to that.
Snape and Hermione.
Exactly.
Okay.
Stuff like that pops up, and then they form entire Tumblr groups and entire Twitter groups, and they're like, no, it has to be Red Hood and Barbara together, not Dick and Barbara. And it's like, where the fuck did you guys get this from? My little rant comes from, and maybe I'm poking at a wasp's nest here, but the Poison Ivy League, I've gone back and I've seen like some of the hashtags. I'm like, okay, so let's see if any of these guys are actually going to pick up that Poison Ivy book that is releasing next year. See if they actually support a Poison Ivy comic. And I have seen a couple of them promote it, which is great. Promote the book. Hopefully your following will go out and support Poison Ivy, and hopefully it's written as you expect her to be. But as I did a little more digging and checked some of the previous posts that they were also promoting, they were to previous books written by Paul Dini. One of them I think was called Rooted, or Stalked. It was Stalked. And this was part of the Batman series before the New 52, in which Poison Ivy was written as like a regular cold-hearted murderer, and she was just using people and feeding them to her plants. And they had such a problem with this because they see Poison Ivy as not necessarily a villain, and I agree too. She's not necessarily a villain. She's kind of in the middle. She cares just about the Earth, and that's a good thing, but when you take it too far, that's when people are affected and lives are destroyed and so on and so forth. But they hated the way that Paul Dini wrote Poison Ivy, and they were saying awful shit. Like, they were leaving reviews like, this fat motherfucker, Paul Dini, gets too much attention because of Batman the Animated Series, and that's all he's good at. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys. All because of your fucking character isn't written how you want it to be. You're gonna insult this fucking man who created one of the best... Probably gave more attention to Poison Ivy in the 90s than the comics did through the cartoon. Like, fuck you. Don't even give me any of that shit. So there we go. I'm poking at a nest because that is fucking silly. Don't go after a writer like that because of your fucking character. It's fictional. Maybe the writer sees it differently than you do. Either way, be happy that your character is actually being written about. They could easily not write it, and then your character's fucking out of mainstream comics.
We just lost all our listeners.
All the Poison Ivy League.
Yeah. They're like, peace out.
If we lost listeners that wrote up a thing to put Paul Dini and call them a fat motherfucker, I'm glad. Like, you can leave, please. Don't write reviews like that.
Don't tell them to leave. Don't write reviews like that, but don't leave.
Fine, they can stay.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy though? It's insane.
I agree. There's a lot of things that are insane, like colors of cups. But I digress.
Oh, yeah, we're not going into that.
No. So our next book is DC Comics Bombshells number 4. This is written by Marguerite Bennett with art by Belkis Evely. Why'd you give me the hard ones? Mirka Andolfo and Laura Barga.
These should not be that hard.
These are difficult.
Just pronounce what they're actually saying. Pronounce those letters. Belkis Evely.
I can't go Belkis.
Mirka Andolfo. Laura Braga.
You have like this rolly R thing.
Even if you didn't roll the R, it's just the next letter that comes in the name. Very easy.
You know what?
Not Barga, Braga.
You know what?
What's the colorist?
Wendy Broom.
There you go.
Okay, but that's like...
That's the whitest name of them all.
A white person name. That's why I could pronounce that.
So the third issue of Bombshells. Fourth issue. Mm-hmm. We have Harley Quinn on the cover, so that means we do get the bombshell version, the actual story to her in this series. As you know, this is a digital first comic. It's split into 3 when it makes it into the physical release. First bit of the story is with Supergirl and Stargirl. Then you have the Harleen Quinzel story. And finally, we continue to follow Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor.
I really enjoyed the Supergirl Stargirl story. That was probably my favorite of the 3.
Oh, interesting.
It probably went that one and then Harley and then Wonder Woman. So exactly how the book was written.
So why was the first bit your favorite of the 3?
I don't know. I just really enjoyed it because you really get the feeling that they're trying to do what's best for their country, but now they're kind of understanding that what they thought was right isn't necessarily right. And so I think moving forward, you're going to have a lot of really interesting scenarios that come out of that. And of course, these girls have all the power in the world to make it right.
I think my favorite was the Harley Quinn version, just because we do like the character so much. Being big fans of Batman the Animated Series, we grew up with her and watching her on television. And with this one, they actually integrated the special edition bombshell Harley Quinn statue, the Christmas version from last year, into the story where it makes sense. So now it gives that variant meaning if you own it. So I thought that was really, really clever. And you even get an appearance of a certain Green Lantern if you pick up this comic.
And then the last one was Wonder Woman. She's being Wonder Woman.
She's getting closer to Steve Trevor, so you're exploring that relationship for people that do like that. It works, if you're a Wonder Woman fan. Last DC book this week comes from the creative team that we mentioned for MegaCon Fan Days, and that is Starfire number 6, written by Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Emanuela Lupacchino, colors by Hi-Fi.
I still love the Starfire series. It is so much fun. I feel like we're very close to the end of this arc and the beginning of the next arc, and then we get a great character reveal that we were expecting, but I'm so happy they're here at the very end of this book.
Yeah, the artwork continues to be awesome. Starfire herself is such a great character, so much fun in the hands of Jimmy and Amanda, and they're really making her grow, even though, as we said before, we weren't worried that the novelty would wear off of the fact that she is so simple, because I even asked her, and you said, yeah, it can definitely be an ongoing, and I definitely agreed. And we're seeing that with number 6, in that she, when a threat comes, she knows how to respond to it. Even though she is new to Earth, she's really getting to grasp what it means to be an Earthling and what it means to act as a member of Key West. So now my pick of the week, very middle of the road book. I still really enjoyed it, but I wouldn't put it up there with Batman.
It was up there for me, though. This book it's a lot of fun. It's really lighthearted. If you're a fan of Starfire, you're really going to like this book, because I think it captures her really, really well. And they've surrounded her with a group of characters that you love also, and you want to see them succeed, and you want to learn more about them. We get a little bit of that in this book, where we're learning about those background characters, which hopefully will be big characters in her life. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yes, we will. And the final item that we're going to cover this week comes straight out of DC Collectibles. And that is Batman the Animated Series, the Harley Quinn action figure.
This measures at 5.6 inches tall, and it comes with different hands, a gun, and a Jokerfish.
Do you remember the Jokerfish song?
I do. Do you remember the Jokerfish song?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and sing us the Jokerfish song. You don't remember the Jokerfish song. You just lied.
I just want to hear you sing it.
They're swimmy and finny and oh so delish. Something, something, something is Jokerfish.
She was allergic to it, right?
Yes, she was. She kept sneezing.
She ended up barfing it up off screen. And Joker's like, ooh. What a great episode, and what a great action figure. We posted up a picture of it on our Facebook and on Twitter. And this is actually the season 1 through 3 Harley Quinn. So it's not the new Batman Adventures or Batman Adventure. Yeah, that's what it was. The new Batman Adventures. Yep. In which her design didn't change that much either way, and which is fine because she was perfect as she was. They kind of slimmed her down a little bit when that season came, but I don't think it's enough to justify an action figure. So this one's done perfectly. She looks great. She's colored fine, and it's the classic outfit, our favorite version of Harley Quinn, and probably our favorite version of this action figure, aside from maybe the original run of it that came out in the late 90s.
I think I have that one too.
Yeah, you do?
That one's in the closet somewhere.
Which one would you pick of the two?
Oh man, I don't know. They're both pretty great. I love that they're bringing these back out though, because of course we're rebuying all of them. Plenty of people are, and it's really showing them, not only how beloved this series was, but that there's a desire for this stuff, which is great for us, not great for our bank accounts.
Exactly. So that will actually do it for our reviews for the week and the podcast as well. My pick of the week, again, was Batman number 46.
My pick of the week was All New Wolverine number 1.
And my pass of the week was Batman Superman number 26.
And my pass of the week was Adventure Time number 46.
We do want to once again thank our sponsors, MegaCon Fan Days, Dr. Phillips Center for Performing Arts, and of course our Patreon supporters out there. Don't forget to give them a follow as well while you're out there on Twitter or on Facebook. Give them support because they have been helping us out right here also on the Reasons I'm Broke podcast.
And thank all of you so much for your continued support. It really means the world to us to have such a loyal group of followers who not only listen to us but interact with us as well through the various websites.
If you want to follow along and interact also, if you're a newer listener or haven't followed us yet, head on over to nerdupmedia.com, click on the Reasons I'm Broke logo, and you will find a link to everywhere you can find this. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, all of that stuff. And you can also check out the various sister shows that we have on the same network, other podcasts, and Let's Play channels.
And while you're on that website, you can click on Shop. There, for just a donation of $16.99, you can get your very own shirt, either Nerd Up Media or our exclusive The Reasons I'm Broke t-shirt. They come in a variety of different colors, both in men's and women's sizes.
So huge thanks to all Brokeheads out there for the support, for the listens, and a lot of exciting stuff coming up, especially with Google Play Music. I have tweeted out some stuff on that. More details to come as that service launches, hopefully seamlessly, to help find new Brokeheads. And of course, all the shoutouts and retweets that you give us will help other Brokeheads find us. So huge thanks. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelli.
We'll see you next week.